Greetings, everybody. Joyce Grill here, sending greetings to all my MTNA fellows. I'm thankful for MTNA for letting us do these visual presentations so that I get to at least see all my old friends. When I started work at the university over 40 years ago, one of my jobs was to deal with the instrumentalists and the singers, teaching them enough piano so that they could pass a piano proficiency exam, which was really pretty difficult. So I had to come up with ways to do that in a hurry. First of all, I had to convince string players. This is finger number one. Once we got through that hurdle and I looked at the things they had to do, I realized that reading the lead sheet might be a problem. They could probably figure out that melody line because they can read the notes, but those chord symbols, that was the problem. So I had to come up with a few ways that we could have simple exercises to get us ready to play these chords. The first thing we needed to do was make sure they know all the notes of the white keys. And so using the fifth finger, I would call out a key. C, B, A, F, D. And do this all over the keyboard, up and down, to make sure that they could identify the key right away. Now the next step is to put your fifth finger on the C below middle C. Now, using just white keys, finger resting at each one, our thumb ends up on G. If we play the C and the G together, we have a nice fifth, all right? This is the basis of almost all our chords, so it's important that they can feel that. Feel how the shape of their hand is, how it feels when they play it. Now, go to D. Your thumb ends up on A. And so we have this nice fifth. You can do that on each note up through A. So C through A. And then I'd call out, okay, make a fifth on C, on F, on D, on G, down to C, down to G, up to C. When they really can convincingly do that on all of those, and you are sure that you know them, we can go on to the next step. However, be sure that they are trying to be relaxed as they do it. Remember, the fifth shape never changes, but their hands will grow, especially if you started with students at a young age. Now, the next thing is if you put your fifth finger on B, and your thumb is on F, you notice that that's rather a strange shape for the fifth. If you drop your fifth finger to the B flat, you have it. One of my students called that a wonky fifth. So here we have on B flat a wonky fifth. If you put your fifth finger on B again and your thumb up to F sharp, then you have the fifth on B and B flat. So that's why I usually don't give those right at the beginning, because of the wonky fifths. I want everybody to really have this fifth suddenly in hand. Next step that we go to is building a fifth. And now just put your third finger down. Now we have a triad. We have a chord. And again, how does that feel? How does it sound? Now, let's build a fifth on D. All right, put that third finger down. We're only using white keys. All right, go to an E fifth. Put the third finger down. And so on, up to A. Now, the next thing that we do is I'm going to tell you how to jump between them. C, A. Ooh, you got to remember, D. Always start with your fifth, and then just put the third finger down. E. All right, C. Now we're going to keep in mind the fact that the next step is C, F, and G chords are called major chords. They are called major chords. D, E, and A are minor chords. And this is why we use just all the white keys. So right now you already can play 6 different chords. C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor. And again, I would practice jumping between them, calling out C, E minor, G major, D minor. Again, always thinking of that 5th as you're chording them. Now then, we know that if we can have major and minor chords, can we change the ones that we have? So let's look at C major. When we think of minor, we kind of think of a sadness and nothing going on that's really happy. And so let's lower our 3rd finger. This is the magic 3rd finger that controls so much of what we do. C major, C minor, C major, C minor, C major. So practice going between the two. All right, let's look at our other major chords. F major, magic 3rd finger, major, minor, major. And the other major chord was G, 3rd finger. So now we can play C major, C minor, F major, F minor, G major, G minor. So right there you have 6 chords. Now, the minor chords, let's do a D minor chord. Now, when we think of major, we think of happy. So this time the magic 3rd finger moves up. Minor, major. As simple as that. Let's go to E minor. Magic 3rd finger goes up. E major, E minor, E major. And the last one is A minor. Major, minor. So now you have 6 more chords, and so naturally you're going to practice all of them, which I'd go a little easy at first, but call out different chords. First do a bunch of majors. C major, F major, E major, A major. And again, if they always think the 5th first, and then they only have to worry about that 3rd finger, it saves time. Then add the minors. D minor, G minor, C major, F major, D major, G minor. And again, how much you call these out, how many times you practice these things will build up their skills in playing those chords. Now, the next thing we want to do is realize that you don't always have to play the chords all at once. You can break them up. You can do one after the other. You can all kinds of different rhythms. So do that. Try that on different chords, so that you don't have to always play just as a triad. If we look at the piece Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, and the reason that I like to use it is because the right hand is basically a 5-finger pattern with the addition of that extra note. So the right hand doesn't have to do a lot of moving around, and you can really concentrate on the left hand. So if you were to look at the lead sheet of it, you would see that it has a C major chord, an F major, a G major, and a C major. And I always like to play the chords that this calls for so that you know where they are. All right, here we go. It starts with C major, F major, C major, G major, C, G. Now somebody is going to say, oh, well, you had to share a note there. Well, that's okay. You can go down if you'd rather. C major, F major, G major. Now, I would have them go very slowly when they're doing it. F, so that they're sure that they're landing on the chord they want. Then you can have them try and break it up. When they get really good, so you have the idea of being able to make a little accompaniment to go along with what you have. So you now can do that in different keys. If we're in the key of G major, G will be the 1 chord. The note that you play, the 4th note of the scale, will be the 4 chord, the 5 chord, and the 1 chord. And then you can just play it. Awfully high. That's why singers wouldn't like that. The next thing we want to learn how to do is, you notice that I had to jump. How can we get around not having to jump so far? All right, a C major chord. The 4 chord in C major is F major. What 2 notes do those 2 chords share? Oh, they both have a C in it, okay? All right, already in a C major chord, I already have the C. What I don't have is the F and the A. But look, they're right next door. Oh, how easy is that? They're right next door. So remember, if you're going to the 4 chord, it's right next door. For instance, in G major, the 4 chord is a C major chord. So what note do they share? Oh, a G. I already have the G. So what I need is the C and the E. And again, they're right next door. So when you're doing 4 chords from your 1 chord, you always keep the bottom note. Now let's do the 5 chord, which in C major is G major. So what chord are they sharing? What note are they sharing? Well, they're sharing a G. All right, I already have the G in the 1 chord, but I need a B and a D. Oh, look, right next door, but this time we had to push down. So you just think of what the notes were in the chord and play them. And so you can now shift from 1 to 4 to 1 to 5 to 1. And you can do that in every key and doing it the same way. And I would have your students practice at doing all of those different ways. Now, one other thing. Do you remember our friends D, E, A, which were all the minor keys? Some of your students are going to ask, well, what about the black keys? All right, play a D minor triad. Keep your 3rd finger where it is, but drop your thumb and your 5th finger. And you have D flat major. All right, E minor. 3rd finger where it is, drop the thumb and the 5th finger. You have E flat major. A minor. Leave the 3rd finger where it is and drop your thumb and 5th finger, and you have A flat major. And then you can just tell them G flat is all black keys, and they can go on from there. So now think of all the chords that you are able to play, major and minor, shifting, and I would have them practice all those different things as much as you can. There are many, many sheets out there, lead sheets with easy chord progressions that the students would be able to have under their fingers. So here we've been doing all these different chords, and again, how much time or practice is put in will determine how well they can play them. If you'd like to get in touch with me, it's all small letters, joycegrill@gmail.com, and I'd love to hear from you if you have any questions. Meanwhile, quick, have some chords.